Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Dr. Bushra Aslam from Department of Physiology. Today is my 5th lecture on eye. Today I will discuss about the physiology of optic nerve, visual pathway and its lesion. This picture shows the optic pathway. It starts from the vision begins at the photoreceptors. Vision begins at the photoreceptors in the retinal layer of the cells at the back of the eye. From here it is transmitted where the optic nerve and nasal fibers cross to the opposite sides at the level of the optic chiasma. From here the axons form the optic tract that synapse in the lateral geniculate body. From here the axons fan out as the optic radiations, also known as the geniculocalcrine tract, through the temporal, that is known as Meyer's loop, and parietal lobe to the back of brain and primary visual cortex. This is the same repetition of the picture. You can study all the optic nerve, then it will pass through the first there will be the optic nerve. It will pass through the optic chiasma. From here the fibers from the nasal halves of the retina cross and then lateral geniculate body and to the primary visual cortex. Next, very important topic, lesion of the optic pathway. This is the one of the picture of the optic pathway lesions. First I have told you that the visual system begins at the back of the retina and passes through the optic nerve by the optic nerve. When there is lesion at this level, there will be the complete blindness on the right side of the eye as shown in the picture. The blue color shows the blindness. So when there is the lesion at the level of 1, there will be the complete blindness at the number 1. Next, if there is lesion at the optic chiasma, we will get bitemporal hemianopia, non-hemianopia bitemporal hemianopia, that is loss of vision of right half of the right eye and left half of the left eye. That is why it is known as the non-homonymous hemianopia or bitemporal hemianopia. Next, after crossing the optic chiasma, it forms the optic tract number 3. If there is lesion at the level of optic tract, what will happen? You will get the picture of 3. What does it show? Lesion of the optic tract carries axons from the ganglionic cells of the temporal retina of the right eye and nasal retina of the left eye. It results in the blindness in the left field of vision. Both the left sides will be lost. This visual disorder is called contralateral left homonymous hemianopia. Contralateral left homonymous hemianopia. Homonymous refers to the same half of the visual field. As shown, there is the loss of left side of both field. Next, when there is lesion at the level of 4, what does it shows? Vision to the right temporal, it carries visual information projected from left superior visual hemifield of each eye. This disorder is known as the superior left homonymous quadrantanopia, pie in the sky disorder. This is known as the pie in the sky disorder. This disorder is seen when patients has experienced a vascular injury to the middle cerebral artery. Next, number 5. When these fibers are destroyed or when there is lesion at this level, these fibers carries information projected from left lower visual hemifield of each eye. That is why this disorder is known as the inferior left homonymous hemianopia as shown in the diagram, and also known as the pie on the floor disorder. This disorder actually occurs when there is vascular occlusion of the middle cerebral artery. This was all about the lesions. It is very important topic. You must have at least 5 types first at the optic nerve, next in the optic chiasma, optic tract, and next after the optic tract, when these fibers originate from the lateral geniculate body to the optic radiations, two types of regions can occur: superior and inferior quadrantenopia. You must have the pathway along with, you must know the pathway along with these disorders. Next, where the fibers actually ends, they ends at the primary and the secondary visual cortex. What is the primary visual cortex? It is the area 17. This here is shown the primary visual cortex. It is located in the occipital lobe in the calcarine fissure extending forward from the occipital pole on the medial aspect of each cortex. Large representation of the visual cortex is for macula. It receives the primary visual, this area receives the primary visual input. It is also known as visual area 1 or striate cortex. Next is the secondary visual areas. Secondary visual areas, also known as the visual association area, lie lateral, anterior, superior and inferior to the primary visual cortex. It surrounds the primary visual cortex. Most of these areas also fold outward over the lateral surface of the occipital and the parietal cortex. Secondary signals are transmitted to this area for analysis of visual meaning. Next, what is the effect of removing the primary visual cortex? Removal of the primary visual cortex in the human beings causing loss of conscious vision, that is blindness. Such blind people can still react subconsciously to the change in light, to the intensity, to the movement in the visual scene, or rarely to some gross patterns of visions. How these people can react these changes? Because including turning the eye, turning the head, because the vision is believed to be subserved by the neural pathways that passes from the optic tracts mainly into the superior colliculus and other portions of the older visual system. Actually, the superior colliculus is responsible for your movement of the eye and the head together. This picture shows the autonomic nervous supply to the eye. Eye is supplied by both the parasympathetic pathway and the sympathetic pathway. This picture shows the parasympathetic pathway. This picture shows the parasympathetic pathway. Here the parasympathetic fibers originate in the Edinger-Westphal nucleus. It passes in the third cranial nerve to the silvery ganglion. Postganglionic fibers excites silvery muscles and sphincter iris. Next is the sympathetic pathway. Sympathetic fibers originate in the anteromedial horn of the superior cervical ganglion. A postganglionic fibers spread along the carotid artery and innervate the radial fibers of the iris. Next is the explanation of the autonomic nerve. Same, you must know about the picture and the explanation. Same repetition. Parasympathetic fibers arises in the Edinger-Westphal nucleus, passes in the third cranial nerve to silvery ganglions. Postganglionic fibers excite the ciliary muscles and sphincter of the eye. Sympathetic fibers originate in the anteromediolateral horn of the superior cervical ganglion. Postganglionic fibers spread along the carotid artery and eventually innervate the radial fibers of the eye. Thank you very much. This was all about my today's lecture.